I figured I'd come right back here to see if there were any questions and comments prior to starting this fast tomorrow. My last video, apparently the comments were getting cut off, I'd assume. So I'll just stick around here for a little bit, doing this little live thing for whoever shows up, and go from there. I don't know how long I'll be on here. Last days of drugs and alcohol, though. Hi, puppy. Hi, baby. Oh, nice to see you. Oh, honey. What up, Rising Love? You keep changing your your image. What is that of? I can't tell. My phone is so small that the picture's really small. Is that a picture of a one of those let me see again. Is that a chick in full lotus? It is a woman, yes. What up, Stephen Co? Sitting. I couldn't tell if it was a mermaid. I thought it might have been a mermaid. Is it a mermaid? John, it's starting tomorrow. Are there words underneath that woman? What up, Uros, Marin Sec? What are the effects on the body if you drink urine after you drink alcohol? I've done it plenty of times. I enjoy it, and I don't. It's just speeding up the process. Again, alcohol is a transmutative device. It's fire water. Just like fire is transmutive. Fire water is going to speed up the process of cleansing the body. I wouldn't suggest to anybody that hasn't done it before, that hasn't fasted before. Once you're familiar with their body, you can work with alcohol and urine and juices and things like this, and you'll figure out where it fits into your, what's going on with how your body regulates things. But as far as from my perspective, using alcohol with urine and juices and things and teas, I've done plenty of week to week and a half fasts on urine, alcohol, tea, juice, and I get great benefits. It just speeds up how much you're cleansing, so you need to make sure that you have additional water, and you have to increase your water intake even more because you're burning off more cells. You're burning off more things from the cells. Just think about cleaning a house. You're going to be making a bigger mess. You need more water to clean it up. So it's smart to, if you're going to do a juice fast, I would call it more of a feast on juices and anything that involves carbohydrates or sugars. It's not really technically a fast, but for the purpose of fasting to hold strong to an idea rather than fasting to to take something away from it, in small amounts, I think it's a really, really good idea. And especially during a fast, the best thing to use would be use vodka. And to go even farther into that, if you're going to use vodka, there are certain brands of vodka that you can find that have a very high pH. In fact, alkalinic. You'll find vodkas that have upwards of 8.5 pH. Imagine that. Everybody thinks they're fresh out here in the streets and knows what's going on with alcohol. Think it's all acidic, and it's not. So, for anybody with these coming through, get your high levels of high levels of 8.5 water from here's the $6,000 machine. Get your well, you can get that with alcohol too, and in fact it's doing a much higher level cleansing process. And John, sure, yes, I would loop urine and add vodka. I think that's a great idea. And you'll find out for yourself, just like anything else. When you eat something, you'll find out in the urine, as you're re-ingesting the urine, what does it taste like? What's going on with my body? And you can kind of figure out, is it doing something good for you or not? I mean, you know, hey, give it a shot, see what happens. If you don't like it, don't do it. And looping urine is the best hangover cure next to sauerkraut juice or pickle juice. Real pickle juice, sauerkraut juice, some of the best stuff. And urine is really nice too, but because I like sauerkraut juice, the flavor is going to be way better than a hangover piss. Depending on what you had, especially if the hangover included lots of pizza and deep fried mozzarella sticks and shit, you know? Oh, nice. Rising Love. It says, don't you know that you're the light that lights the world? I like that. John Shore, I did an alcohol fast. I won't go deep. I would talk to someone. I would make a video private about that. I would never make a very public video about that. But I've done an alcohol fast. I'll just put it this way. There are a lot of substances that you can use to. There are people that are shamans because of alcohol. There are people that are shamans because of ayahuasca. There are people that are shamans because of mushrooms. There are people that are shamans for a lot of different reasons, and it's the same purpose with the same, with different substances. And so it's meeting different kinds of spirits and doing different kind of things. But I would do that as like a private video. Yeah, Super Champion Rocker. Because it's not going to be salty because you're going to be burning through carbohydrates, burning up a lot of sugars and things. Especially if the alcohol, depending on the alcohol. If you're using a beer is going to have a little different property than vodka will. Vodka's just going to burn things off, where alcohol from say a living beer, it's going to be eating up carbohydrates and sugars. So beer is you could do a beer fast. A beer fast is a very good idea. Very low alcohol, like 3% beer. I mean, it's no different than, you could use beer and kombucha, but you wouldn't want to use them at the same time, because vinegar of kombucha is got a really acidic pH. So you just got to figure out what the pHs of these things are, because kombucha is basically a vinegar-rich substance with a little bit of alcohol in it, and then beer is, so you'd play around with it. I wouldn't do them at the same time, Nice, Lumeno. Wicked, man. Excellent. I'm happy you're... What up, Dong Chill? Rising Love. During a fast, if you have the motivation to cleanse, I think vodka is the best way to go. If you have, but then again, if you're from, see, this goes a little deeper into climates where you're living and local environments. What people would have locally if you lived in a cold climate would be vodka. And so there's a big reason that, you look into the Caucasus Mountains and the Russians and the Russian water, vodka, water, it's the same word. And then if you go to the hotter climates and find tequila, and it was more of a medicinal thing. So the uses of them are slightly different, but it's not wrong. It's not a bad thing. It just tequila is going to have a slightly different benefit. It's going to speed things up. Tequila is the only upper of all of the rest of the alcohols are basically going to be depressants and downers. Tequila will be an upper because, if you get a good tequila, because of the plant they're using. And gin is another one that you're going to be adding substances. So these are not necessarily for cleansative purposes, but for spirit work and energy work. But again, if that's all you have to use, it's not gonna be bad. It just, you don't want to be adding things during a takeaway cleanse. John Shore, I don't know what vodka that is. Just do a research. Just you could do a quick Google on that, man. I remember finding a couple websites that had given the different vodkas the rating on their pH. And remember, there was like 2 or 3. One of them I know very well, and it has this walnut kind of hint flavor to it. It's really excellent. It's expensive, but it's a really good vodka. I can't remember it off the top of my head. Maybe by the end of the video I'll remember. What up, high tech? Wicked, Stephen Co. What up, Katesh? Yeah, make some peyote alcohol. Or else I have not done ayahuasca. I've done some things similar-ish. I haven't gone that route though. I did a lot of the diviner sage though. Joshua, get on the beer slow. Beer fast. You get on for real though. The beer fast. You use farmhouse ales, man. Super cleansative. 3% alcohol. I mean, you wouldn't want to be drinking like you wouldn't want to be drinking a 12-pack of them, but you could. I mean, I would. But I'm not built like everybody else. I've got no quibbles. What up, Sun Soul? Oh, Jordan Weiland, what's going on? Stephen P. Yeah, that's a different kind of fast. Organic cow's milk, fresh from the farm, straight. Milk, when it's pasteurized, is mucus causing. Milk, when it's unpasteurized, is actually quite the opposite. It's cleansing. It's very cleansing. It's one of the most cleansing things. And even if you get like, especially if you could find either goat milk or camel's milk, but that's gonna be really hard to find and it'd be way expensive. I know you can get it and you get it shipped, but it's kind of loses the purpose and the value. But unpasteurized cow milk and unpasteurized goat's milk is cleansative, very cleansative, in fact. And then you upgrade that to the buttermilk and and the sour creams and things like that that have the extra element of like the yogurt qualities, you know. But yeah, that would be more. It'd be less of a fast in a sense of what a water fast would do. It'd be cleansative and fasting, but it'd also be building as well. So milk is one of the greatest things to fast on. What up, Zach Chrono? Oh man, Stephen Co. Man, I mean that's for you to play with, man. I mean, whatever feels more comfortable. If you feel more comfortable being out doing that, I mean, for me, whenever I did my really long fast, I would go out and I'd bring a bottle of water with me. I'd bring like a glass jar, like a 2-liter thing of well, I was using spring water at the time that I went and harvested. So spring water or distilled water. But you know, again, if you're fasting and your choice is, I mean, it's not gonna kill your fast. It's not gonna ruin it. So if it would be more beneficial to actually be out and you feel like that would motivate you more, then drink the water there, man. I mean, but at that point in time, you're better off walking into the bathroom, pissing into a glass, and drinking that. Now, I didn't know that at the time when I did my long fast. I didn't know the benefits of the urine therapy, but I have since done that. If I'm out in public, I've been in bars. I'll piss in a glass at a bar. Everybody else thinks it's beer, and a few people, if they're curious, I'll tell them what it is. Don't bother me. That's awesome, Lumeno. Yeah, that's wicked, man. Absinthe is really good stuff too. Absinthe is the New Orleans thing, man. That's I know I was talking about this the other day, and this would be another cleansing thing, but it'd be more of a spirit thing. Again, you'd be taking like a because you can't, in America, you can't get, you can't get the proper wormwood, you can't get Thujon in the absinthe here, because Thujon is what causes you to see the green fairies, and the Thujon comes from the wormwood. But what you can do is buy wormwood, get yourself some good vodka, or get yourself absinthe, and then throw the wormwood in there, and just put it on a, like, I like to speed up the process of making tinctures, and you can do that by putting it on a, you can put the vodka in a mason jar on a coffee mug heater, and it gets it just to about the perfect temperature where it doesn't get too hot, but it speeds up the process of pulling all the elements out of that. So in like 3 days, you're going to be something like 75-80% of pulling out the elements. So rather than, like, people are saying, oh, you got to put it in the thing in the jar and then shake it, 7 times, and then, come back in a week and do it again. And you can speed up the process with heat, as long as it's not getting above 100 and, it depends on the thing, but for most, just across the board, 120 degrees. And those coffee mug things are not going to get hotter than that. So, and again, the wormwood's a root anyways, and you're not going to be killing the alkaloids and things in that. So things that come of the earth, you can use a higher temperature with, where things that are green, you're going to use a lower temperature, and things that are the flowering stuff, then you wouldn't want to even use something as hot as alcohol. You'd want to use a wine. So whenever you find something like a flowering substance that you want to extract something, you would use something with a lower alcohol content. The botanicals would change. The types of botanicals that you're putting into something, you can think of it temperature in a sense of the proofing. How much proof? It has to do with what 100 proof actually means. 100 proof has to do with starting a fire. And also where, what would start the fire. The root is going to be harder to start a fire, where the thing up in the air is already, Remember, that's more advanced stuff. But hopefully that made sense to anybody if you're making any tinctures. Beer can have a lot of heavy metals, but the idea, John, about the I'm sure store-bought, most of this shit is garbage, and it's coming out of things that are definitely, aluminum cans, etc., coming out of things that they probably shouldn't have been made beer in. But if you get it from a decent company, that's probably not going to be the case. And most of the heavy mineral content, at least, that was the purpose of, if there's dirty water and heavy minerals, like, it takes a little bit of heavy mineral in it to actually make beer. You can't make beer with really, really distilled clean water anyways. So there's a couple things going on there, which gets into how they made farmhouse ale, because the water was so dirty that they couldn't drink the water, but they could make beer out of it because the bacteria would eat away all the filth from the water. Yeah, buy a camel for sure. Walking through the cities with a camel would be wicked. Michael Nolan, what is blood over intent about? I've done videos about that. It's a magical ritual. Go dip into my other videos. I don't want to dig in that to here, man. I've got like 5 or 6 of them out there. And if you can't find them, let me know, and I'll look through. I might have taken them down because I was just too busy, like, listening to people that did it, that didn't listen to my, the knowledge that I have on it, which is hours and hours of what magic actually is. So they were trying to tell me about, oh, fuck you, blood over intent's the greatest. And I'm like, well, see, obviously it didn't work, did it? But we'll, yeah, go in and try to find some of my old videos on it. Steve P. Raw cow's milk's where it's at, man. What up, Damien? Oh, does drinking mineral water with a small percentage of fluoride is better than no water? That depends on who you ask and where you're sitting. Hydration is the key to everything, right? And so as long as you have more hydration to pull out the rest of the garbage that's in you, because people that are out here talking about doing dry fasts, they're doing it. Most people, I don't talk about it because most people aren't in a place to be doing a dry fast. You should be very, very cleansed before you start heating up your brain, and you start, because that's what happens. You heat up your brain, and you're burning off things in your brain, and you're burning off other things in your body, and you don't want to be doing that if you're not completely hydrated, because you could kill yourself. So probably if you're not in very good shape, and if you're not already totally fully hydrated, then you'd probably, the water's the better idea, even if there's some garbage in it. Rising Love, you can start anytime you want. Like tonight you can consider the start of it midnight if you want, or if you haven't eaten. Like, for me, in essence, my last solid, I had some cake today. I was like, man, I'm gonna fast tomorrow. I'm eating cake. It was like a bread pudding. It wasn't cake. It was bread pudding, and yeah, it was pretty awesome. Lumeno, I'd rather trust it from you, though. See, that's the thing. You got to know your source. You got to know your shaman.
CFS is answer all parts of the question, construct a clear argument,
so
answer a solution.
27 people in this room, 6 thumbs up. Aren't you all trained well enough yet? This costs you nothing. Just do it. What up, Vine Poe? Vine Poe, yeah. If you know what you're doing with the dry fast, and you've done it before, and you feel comfortable with it, it's very high tech stuff. It's high technology for the body, and what's occurring. See, I don't. It seems to me like one of those things that unless people specifically were to ask me and were already advanced. You know what I mean? It really is an advanced thing. You would never tell somebody that's... I always make the idea of, like, if somebody's never fasted before and you tell them, like, drink your piss, it's not making any sense to them. And it's definitely not making any sense to do a dry fast, because that you're really going to clog people up and hurt them. Because you need water in the river, and your river being your veins, your arteries, your entire system should be flooded with water. And this is the idea we want to... If we even use the Bible for reference, because this is what the Bible is talking about flooding the rivers and flooding the temples and all of these things. The whole thing is about your temple, your body, and putting more water in it to remove all of the dams. You have dams in your body that you built up with salt. And John Shore, I don't know. 5 days was my initial, like, I'm just going to do 5 days, but I'm sure that I'll be motivated at 5 days. I said this the other day, that I'm doing this based on the weather outside and how I'm kind of feeling, and I'm just gonna work with the environment, see how I feel, and maybe I'll go straight from what I'm doing, which is gonna be water, urine, maybe some juice, and maybe some beer. I'll just see tomorrow. I'm gonna start with the intention of just urine, but I know I'm gonna need some water because I'm slightly dehydrated, because I've been eating like trash for the past week. So, and there's gonna be other things that I'm gonna do that are probably going to really require a lot more water in my system, because I'm gonna be active too. I'm not gonna be doing a fast that's not active. Oh, Al Chem, wicked, man. What you having for the last meal?
Use precise vocabulary. So we can, I basically had the example, so I can add it.
Rise in Love, speaking of tinctures and herbs and minerals, would we be better off drinking a tea or using them in a bath? Well, that really depends on what your effect and outcome you want to be. That's a really big question. A bath... And you also have to think about, is the bath already loaded with all of the garbage that's going to be in the water, or is your water clean? Is your water already distilled coming into the bathtub? Is it already... So when you're putting your herbs in it, what kind of herbs are you using? What's your purpose? It's same. But then again, your skin is the larger organ, and see, this goes into like, well, if you're using really crappy water and then you're throwing some things in there and you take a really hot bath, you're letting in just as much garbage as you are good stuff, and it's Stephen Code, tobacco, weed, hookah. In what ways would smoking change the diet? I mean, like, are you talking about this fast, or like you just mean diet in general? Because I don't know, I don't get what you're saying there exactly, man. Michael Nolan, I'm gonna do a show. I'm gonna do a show just for you because you have sex on the brain. But I've discussed that at length before as well. And yes, there is as I've pointed out pretty frequently, all of your bodily fluids have magical effects. All of them have power in them, and the most powerful would be semen because it creates life. It's more powerful than blood. You can't put blood into someone and make a baby out of it, but you can put semen and an egg into it. So a woman's egg and semen have more magical power than blood does even. But blood does have a very high level of power. So to sweat, it takes more work and effort to get sweat out of you. Urine, you can do urine over intent. And depending on the cleanliness of your urine, and when I say cleanliness, urine is already cleanly, but how golden your elixir actually is. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'd rather drink piss than drink most any water, anyways. Zach Chrono, would it be unwise to do a 40-day urine fast before a water one? No, not at all. It'd be more intelligent, but most people wouldn't do that. But as a little caveat, if you're going to do a urine fast for 40 days, you're going to end up needing some distilled water added to that. There's no one going to be able to. I mean, you would be able to if you're doing 100% of everything you put in your body. You better make sure you're very well hydrated before you start that, and that you also have to include making sure you're in the right temperatures. So there's a little bit when you're saying you're going to do if someone's going to do a urine fast, you'd still be adding water to it because you're going to be losing it out the skin. You're going to be, depending on the time of year. Again, this is what time of year, what kind of weather what else are you doing, what else is in your regimen and program. So those are all furthering questions too. Yeah, Lumeno, I definitely enjoy adding and putting different substances. Mugwort, sage. There's a bunch of different things that I use. But definitely sage is good stuff. Sage is a good addition. And anybody that is like a real big pothead that I'm like, here, try this. Like, oh, what is this? Like, why are you cutting it? I'm like, no, you don't understand. Stop being a bonehead. Do you know who I am? Smoke that. And they're like, whoa, huh, it's brighter, it's cleaner. What's going on here? Have I heard, in terms of greatness, have I heard of the theory of sexual chimorphism, like what's up with semen being an essence that women absorb for more uses than reproduction? Yeah, I'd assume so. I never heard that term or that word. Feel free to hit me up on another video and just write that word down so I can check it out. But yeah, I'd assume. Again, these just like the use of urine, you have urea, and it will make your skin very soft. I had a Ethiopian girlfriend who had skin like she was like 40 years old at the time, and she looked younger than I did. I was like 25, she was like 40, and her skin and her entire body was like immaculate, and that was a big part of her regimen. So and there's so many other things, proteins and things in there, and obviously it is life. So. Rise in love. Thank you. I know you do. Yeah, Steve P. Enjoy that raw cow milk, man. Thank the mother. You know what I mean? That's all the mothers. Mother Earth, Mother Cow, your mother, your all the mothers. It's all the same thing. You know, it's all the milk of life. And maybe I'll do another reading tonight out of one of my favorite books. I'll do that during this fast because I'll have so much more time of just like focus and clarity. And now that I'm doing these live shows, you'll get a different side of me in person, of Zen on high level. If you think I already speak at a very high level, so I'll do like maybe a couple lessons during the day with some of my favorite books, and I definitely want to do a reading of this passage of the land of milk and honey from my favorite teacher, Don Tolman, who has 12 children that have never been vaccinated, that are all vegetarian, that are massive, like big, strong people. So yeah, John Shore, that's kind of the way that I like to explain it to people. Like, it's all about gradients, you know, dense food, liquid, and then air. So we just work within those three things. Let's get off of the eating thing, the heavy chewing and whatever, and let's move to the liquid thing. And then once we can figure out how to work with that, I mean, that's the technique. If you really wanted to become a breatharian, you wean yourself off of, first you wean yourself off of dense food, then you wean yourself off of liquids. And obviously in there you have to know how to work with your pranayama, but we'll make it easy. You have to know how to breathe properly. You have to know how to ground yourself out properly, and you have to be getting adequate amount of sunlight so you can be charging your system the right way. And adding into that, there's other ways of charging your system: good music, good friends, laughter, trees, etc., etc. Oh, yeah, Stephen Coe. Oh, you want that recipe? Stephen Coe, yeah. That's funny. Anybody here? Yeah, you can let everybody know how good that was, huh? That was good, huh? I'll dude, look on my Instagram. Stephen Coe, you got my Instagram. Look back about 2 months ago. You're gonna see a bunch of different pictures with 12 different herbs, and I'll tell you the 12 that are in there. You don't need all of them, but you can get at me. I'll tell you which ones are most important in that mixture. But there's 12 different herbs, 4 that are beneath the ground, 4 that are above the ground, and 4 that are in the air. And I use those 12 plus the mother and then the father. The mother is the marijuana, and the father is the tobacco. And so you take those 2 things and you surround it by the 12. You bind the 2 together, the mother and the father, as the stick, and then you wrap it around the 12 things around it. And those 12 things are 4 from each level of the elementals. What up, Anna K? Hey. Yeah, borax is good stuff. I haven't used borax too often, but I've heard of its benefits. I like hydrogen peroxide too. Food grade, 35%. Get a gallon of it. It's pretty expensive, but it will last you. Oh yeah, and I'll dig in on that, guys. The other thing that I tried to let everybody know about in my other videos was, you know, in the past, start aging your urine even if you're not going to drink it. And if you're behind the game, start doing it now. Clean jars and age the urine so that that way urine's going to take probably about 3 weeks before it's really primed to be used on the skin, because there's that process that's going on to turn it into, it's fermenting it. And so after about 3 weeks, you'll be at a place where it's able to be used to rub on the skin. But then after that, it gets better and better and better. And that is excellent stuff. I've heard not to use fresh on the skin. It can cause depression, so I don't recommend it, because I'd rather not add depression to my dinner plate, you know. Not that, and if anybody has used it and don't have any problems with it, you know, feel free to give it a try. But aged seems to be the way to go. So, and that's one of the bigger things I was talking about the last video yesterday, about the ammonia content and the aged urine, and how that's basically going to be doing a number on cleaning the blood, because you're bypassing all the filters. You're bypassing your stomach acid. You're bypassing everything that's going on here, and it's going directly into your blood, and you'll be doing a great job cleaning your blood and softening your skin because of the urea content. And most of the urea is going to be kind of kicked out there, because it's going to divide, and you're going to get some things, some particulate that will drop to the bottom. It's kind of got a different quality to it. Some people think that's the gold of it. So I don't know, though. You know, there's a couple philosophies and ideas on it. So nonetheless, it's good on the skin. Oh, so Stephen Cole, I mean, you can, man. Smoking during fasting is fine. I mean, obviously the best thing is not to, because the goal of fasting is to remove all of your addictions or whatever. But if it's just an additive, it's just something like here and there or whatever. If you were like smoking a pack of Marlboros a day, probably not a good idea. But if you're smoking something good and it's like ritualistic, I don't think there's a problem with it. Yeah, urine foot baths are awesome, man. Kia, urine foot baths are awesome, especially aged urine. You know, this goes back into people. I'll probably make a video just specifically for this idea, but everybody in the room should know. Start collecting all of your, like, get yourself a couple glass jars, big glass jars, gallon, and start collecting your urine so you have it on hand. You have it stored, because it's good for medicine. It's good for burns. It's good for all sorts of things, and obviously for your skin, and during fasts, and just daily use, really. So, you know, start collecting it. You should have a couple gallons worth. You know, you can make a gallon in a day, so it's once you know, it should only take like a week, and you'll be good. You'll be good with the urine. And for anybody who doesn't know, you want to cover it, keep it in a cool, dry area. If it gets too hot and it gets any bacteria in there, you can funk it up. But I funked up one time, and you'll know the difference. It's awful. It's putrid if it goes bad. So just make sure you're using clean, sterile equipment. Clean, sterile glass jars. And you can either leave the lid on loosely if you're using something that's old, something that you like. I don't know, on a couple times I use old pickle jars, and just leave the lid on loosely. You want it to breathe. Same way that you make alcohol. What's the minimum to do a urine fast to see benefits, Kia? One time? One day? Maybe a week? Maybe 3 days? It really depends. I mean, for most people, you'll feel something different. I don't know, for whoever who's done it in here, you can comment. Y'all comment and let me know, let everybody know. How quickly after you drank piss, like, was it the first glass where all of a sudden, like, something changed in your head? Because I know that happened for me. It wasn't the first glass, but it was like a light coming on, you know? It was just something different. It was like, whoa, clarity, brain fog, gone. This is weird. What is going on here? I know that happened quite quickly. And the more you do it, the quicker that will occur. So like this time tomorrow by noon, I'll be levitating on people. Yeah, I did. Michael Nolan, you said fast. I did a video. It's called Fats, Fast, and what was the other word? I was talking about fasts and fat, and how even the language, how you can decode it with the words, because a fat. I'm not gonna do it again here, but anyways, look up the video called Fast, Fat, and something. What up, Wiley Schmidt? Oh, Wiley, man, thank you, man. I appreciate it, dude. I do. That was wicked of you. Thank you for the blessing, my friend. Yeah, the foot bath is good. You could do hand soaks too if you got hand problems. You know, because those are the ends of your the farthest thing away from your heart are your feet and your hands, right? And another place you can do it is like on a neck soak. Put it on a rag and put it on the back of your neck, the same place that you'd put cool water. And that's pretty nice. Resonance Creative, what's up? Bathing in a tub of urine, it would be ill, man. A tub of urine and warm urine and in a dark room it'd be kind of like doing a float tank. Yeah, Wiley and everybody else, the way you can tell how quickly your blood moves something through your body, I don't know if anybody's ever used DMSO. It's dimethyl sulfur oxide, and it's basically the byproduct of making paper, and it's used in horse tracks, like to relieve pains and stresses. It's like a really high intensity alchemical product that maybe I'll do a video on it soon. But DMSO, it has a garlicky kind of flavor, and if you put it on your feet, within about 2 minutes, you'll taste it in the back of your throat. And so you can just really noticeably see how quickly your blood does move through your system. I think it's like 3 minutes from the time of putting it on your feet to tasting it in your throat, to realize like, man, I'm actually moving the blood from my feet all the way up to here within that short of time. So, and DMSO, if anybody is interested, do a little research on it, and it's I think maybe even Wiley has done a video on it. I don't remember. Have you, Wiley? Have you ever talked about it? Have you ever used it? It's super good stuff, but it's also extremely powerful, and it can cause, the opposite effect, which is so much herxomer, because so much cleansing is happening. It's kind of akin to using a lot of hydrogen peroxide, or using MMS, which is a miracle mineral substance, which is I can't remember the chemical name off the top of my head, but all three of those things are basically in the same function as vinegar, as alcohol. So like a high octane alcohol, vinegar, DMSO, hydrogen peroxide. All these things are going to be doing a very similar thing. You're talking about, we make this really simple. You're cleaning the cellular structure out. We're getting rid of what's inside of there, causing you to have little, like, look here, I got a little junk right there, little like polyp, it's a pile up of junk, right? Of somewhere that like maybe had a broken blood vessel and some fats and some crap and some cancer, whatever. Like, it's just sitting there like, okay, can you remove me a little later when you get around to it? Here's a garbage can full of crap. So anyways, the DMSO and all these other things, they speed up the process. So you gotta be really careful with how much of this stuff you're using. Oh yeah, and here I'll jump in here with this too. Other people were asking about this yesterday, so I already included it. But for whoever's new here today, it's very wise to do at least water enemas during a cleanse, and so you'd want to do water, a couple water enemas, and then you would do a coffee enema to get your gallbladder and your liver to release all of the bile out of your system. And so yeah, and as many coffee enemas as you can add to your regimen, man. The more the better. You know, people always like, oh no, you don't do too many, you'll overburden yourself. I didn't have any problems like that. If you're really unhealthy, yeah, there's probably a limit because you're going to be releasing a lot of garbage into your blood, and if your kidneys can't process it, you could cause yourself a little bit of an issue. But you know, better out than in. Hey, is the moon almost full or something? Yeah, and this is a great time to do a fast too. Other things you can add to your fast on your skin, in your body. Here on your skin, you can use oregano oil, turpentine. Turpentine is an oil. Oregano, they're both very strong things. And if you're using that broken down with some oil and put it on your body, it's going to be having the same effect of getting to your bloodstream to be killing off, you know, little vampires, little worms, all the little critters that are living in your body. So you're not going to be interrupting your fast because you're not going to be putting it into your mouth to go into your stomach. It's going to be going right into your bloodstream, so it's going to be bypassing all of the processes of your stomach, which not only stops it doesn't allow your stomach to start up again, but you're going to be bypassing the acids that would be breaking down a lot of that. So you're going to be getting a higher degree of the quality of oregano and turpentine. I don't know who else is from the UK here. Anybody? Yeah, thanks for saying that, because I got to go get some coffee. It just reminded me. What up, Instance? Yeah, hug a tree a day, keep the doctor away. And for anybody that's interested, we can get into some like more of the the yogic, the physical yogic. I'm not gonna confuse anybody. I'm thinking yoga just means movement, because it doesn't. But the physical aspects of yoga, you can go literally. That was that Master of Earth stuff. Wrap yourself around a tree with your legs and everything. Not only are you going to be releasing charge from your system, because of what the tree is and what the tree does, which he didn't really talk about, but he was talking about it in a sense of a full body exercise. Which when you wrap your legs and arms around a tree, you're working out your back muscles, every muscle in your body, all the way down to your fingers and everything. You don't need weights. This is like real deal stuff. And then beyond that, you're actually attached yourself to like the energy system. What do I think about these videos of parasites and urine faster shits? The parasites appear like little nervous systems, brains. Give me a little more. To just freestyle off that, I guess. Yeah, I mean, times that I've seen things come out of me, they do look like little brains sometimes. It seems like that's in the etymology. It's a pair of sights, another set of sights, their ideas, their visions. We say a paradox, two docs, pair of sights, two sights. It's another, not only other sights, but another location that's asking, requesting something. It's another brain. And considering your stomach is your first brain, if your first brain is filled with parasites, when I say stomach, I mean the entire system, obviously. Yeah, I think it's quite interesting. It's quite interesting. the things will start come out of you. If people have, once you let some of the floodgates open, like once you let out some of the things, and then, you know, after the first time I did some coffee enemas, even times I wasn't doing any cleansing, weird things were coming out because I'd opened up pathways to let other garbage out. And so looking at some of these, kind of like, I didn't eat anything that looked like that. Where's that coming from? What is that? But it's obviously psychologically boosting to say, man, that's out of me. And you also, something happens literally neurologically in a person's body that now all of a sudden it's not succubusing blood and electrical signals or pulsing electrical signals into you, that your body feels different, your brain feels different. And I guess I'm well far behind here, huh? Ooh, man, I'm like 20 minutes behind. I'm trying to catch up here, guys. Resonance Creative, I'm going to jump in there on the hydrogen peroxide. It's best to get yourself the 35% food grade. Other than that, you shouldn't be really consuming it. The 3% in the plastic bottles, not a really good idea. And the brown bottles, not the greatest stuff. There's a lot of reasons for that, but the high test 35% food grade is the way to go. Then you just break it down with distilled water, and yeah, I use that for a lot of things. Mouthwash is awesome. You can spritzer for your skin, for your hair, whatever, if you want to lighten your hair. Okay, yeah, so Kia, use fresh on the face. Okay, that's cool. If it works, then that's, you know. Yeah, Kia, the smell should go away. The smell shouldn't last too long. Back to the aged urine thing. I mean, you can shower afterwards. It depends what you gotta do for the day. And you know, just a light rinse off, and then use some essential oils. That'll fix that'll fix your problem of smell, plus you'll be adding the essential oils to your body. And we'll get into that too soon. About the use of essential oils, and that's actually one of the major processes in upgrading to, I don't want to use the term breatharian, but at least getting to the point of getting your body to utilize a different type of energy and sourcing directly from the highest form of knowledge, the aromacology, the highest essence of the plants, where you don't need to consume anything, you just need to smell it. And the oils and the smell and everything from that will actually run your system, if anybody wants to go that far with it. Rising love every time you age your urine. Yeah, if it's really hot, you got to watch it. It's got to be in a cool, dry place, and make sure it's very, very sterile glass. I've ruined a couple because of the heat, so you got to take that in consideration. I don't know what to tell you if you're unable to find a cool space, other than, again, it's keep it covered, and make sure that the cheesecloth or whatever is covered. You can't let any bacteria in, because that's what's going to cause it to funk. And also, you could, once you get some going, that starter will help keep it from going bad, rancid. But you definitely know. I don't know. You could probably ask Wiley. Has anybody ever went bad on you? It's a totally different smell. You know it's bad. Like, people are like, oh, that stinks like piss. Like, no, ammonia is good. You'll come to like the rich, very strong, intense aroma of ammonia. I don't mind it. I prefer it whenever I'm healthy. Yeah, Monica, shoot. Well, cool, Damien. If you're bathing in the fresh stuff and it's helping you, cool. Yeah, a cheap gallon wine. Yeah, That's definitely the way to go. And you get a gallon of wine. Oh yeah, Wiley Schmidt. Yeah, dip into that real quick. Cool dark. It will help, but I think putting in the sun too would also quite the opposite reason. Is then it won't let any bacteria grow. So I think you'll have the opposite. You'll probably do something slightly different to the quality of the alchemical experience afterwards, energizing it with the ions of the sun, but it'll also keep it from decaying. And I also wondered what, should you bring it in and keep it away from the moonlight, because the moonlight is the factor that decays things, and we have to remember that about the moon. That's why the worms come out during a full moon to start feeding on things, the decaying of everything, because the full moon helps to decay and turn things rancid. Yeah, when you get bit by a snake, it's running through you, piss, put it in your mouth underneath your tongue, and piss right on it too. Yeah, T special. Your mind cleared. So I'm well behind, but I remember the question I asked. Yeah, your mind clears, and then coincidences happen, and then yeah, get it. Then take your seatbelt off and dance. That's crazy. Michael Nolan, what do you mean? What is my hardness fast? I'm not getting what you're saying, Michael Nolan. You said, what is your heart? Oh, what is the hardest fast? What is the hardest fast to do? I'm a little confused. What is the hardest fast to do, or which one that I've done was the most difficult for me, or is that what you're asking? Because if that's what you're asking, I found the lemon, cayenne lemon, it was the big thing back 10, 15 years ago. The lemonade cleanse with cayenne, maple syrup, and lemon. And that I didn't like, and it was hard for me, not only because I didn't like the cayenne coming out my ass, but because I always felt hungry. I wasn't satisfied. I felt like, I just felt like, well, if I'm getting nutrients, why can't I just have some juice? Why can't I? And it didn't make, afterwards, it logically didn't make a lot of sense to me. I was like trying to follow the book to the T, and this is the way you got to do it, and that's the way you do it. And then after I got a lot more experience with it, I realized water fasting was easier for me. Water fasting is much easier for me, because after the 4th day, water fast is pretty simple, because then you don't have any cravings. But it was like I was always on day 3 when I was doing the lemonade cleanse. When I've been juice fasting before, that's cool because I have a variety, and it's not just choking down hot pepper and lemonade. Oh, Michael Nolan, I assume you'd probably start levitating, and that's I'm at 6:45 right now. You said you wonder if anyone's out here who's done a year-long fast, and I'm guessing you misspelled something, or without food or masturbating and was in isolation. Yeah, you probably levitate. I mean, I don't see why not if you knew what you were doing, if you knew the energies, and if you knew how to breathe and everything. Sure. But I don't know, I don't know anybody that's done it, or maybe I do, maybe I've done it. Rising love. Yeah, people treat you different. Well, whether you See, it's interesting. If you don't tell them, people will treat you different anyways. You'll notice it. Like, whenever I was doing a couple urine fasts and I would go out, it was too much energy for me. Like, well, it was clean and it was pure and whatever, but I had a nice suntan and I was urine fasting, and it was just like women were really, really, really attracted to me. And so it was overwhelming. Like, it's hard enough being this beautiful, gorgeous man, but then have that little radiance plus my hair being down and everything. I was like, so I actually had to find my way either to, different routes to wherever I wanted to go, because there was too much energy to deal with. People like, huh? Versus, telling people they look at you different, but like people will notice right away you radiate differently. Like, just the thought of me doing this fast has changed the way that I'm putting off energy and absorbing energy. Yeah, check that stuff out, Wiley Schmidt. I'm way behind here. Source Power. How much distilled water? Drink as much as you feel, man. That's it. At least a gallon. And during the fast, you'll feel when you need more and when you don't. When you feel hungry, it means you're thirsty, and you should never feel thirsty. That's the point of being overly hydrated. It'll be uncomfortable for the first few days. You might find yourself peeing more. You might find yourself feeling bloated. I mean, it really depends on how salty your diet was, how, what else has been in your body of like what the water's doing. Where is it going? Is it pulling things out of your body? And so that's one of the big reasons to keep up on doing enemas, so you have a clean channel for everything to be moved out of your body. So yeah, Source Power, and it depends too, like a gallon's baseline, but how big are you? If you were 300 pounds, you might need 2 gallons a day, for real, maybe 3. How big's your stomach? Nice, Steve P. You got it ready to go. Stephen Co. You should do them as often as possible. As often as you feel like you should do them. Daily, in fact, really. I mean, just think about it, man. It's if you're putting water in your mouth, it's the same thing as putting it up the other side, right? It's cleansing, right? You just want to keep the tubes open. You think your turpentine fermented? I don't know that turpentine could ferment. Could it? It could go bad, maybe. It's an oil. I doubt it. Did you smell it? Did you taste it? I don't know. Maybe just look it up on the internets. Is cloudy turpentine bad? Because there's some things that will go kind of cloudy that doesn't mean they're bad. Or did it get cold? Like, there's a certain kind of alcohol that if it gets cold enough, it'll turn cloudy, that it isn't cloudy. And it's actually a very aniseed, turpentine flavored alcohol. It's what's that stuff that they drink in ouzo? You ever had ouzo? Yeah, if you can't get the really good blue one right away and you really want to get on it, get the red one. I mean, you just know that you're gonna have to get another one in the future if you really want to get into doing the oil enemas and stuff. And the oil enemas are pretty awesome. They can be very, very, very relieving and relaxing. You got those little crickety cracks in your bones. Do yourself a turmeric oil enema. Put you to sleep. Wake up. And like, my tendons are much looser. Yeah. Why did they do stuff like bloodletting? And yes, there is a huge significance to bloodletting. You can think about using the leeches back in the day to clean dirty blood. It was cleaning dirty blood was part of it. I'm not going to go too deep on blood rituals and letting and stuff, but even now you look into the Quran and you look into cupping. It's called hijama. It's basically where you take the cup and suck the skin, so you get it looks like a bruise. It's not really a bruise. It's called the Shah. It's called basically the lymph system. You're engaging the lymph system and moving blood. And if you have really bad circulation, they'll prick your skin and they'll suck the blood out. I've done this plenty of times to myself. I have a cupping kit, and I've given myself wet cupping before, and it's awesome. It'll fix things. You see this blood come out that is like a giant blood clot. When your blood is clean, there's no clotting. But if it's dirty and filthy, and like times that I would like, just have a horrible diet, be really dehydrated, just be like doing stupid shit, and I've already pretty bad circulation to my feet, I would do wet cupping on my leg, and I would see some junky, like nasty ass blood come out. So there's plenty of benefit to it. But again, we shouldn't have to do that. But we're at a place in the world where our organs aren't working right, and once your organs start working right and your blood gets properly getting into the blood just a little bit deeper on the blood here. The blood is about the viscosity. When people talk about a raw food diet, what they really mean is a raw food diet, meaning the sun. The sun, depending on where you live on the planet and how hot it is, it should regulate how viscous your blood is. If you're in colder climates, you should have thicker, more viscous blood. If you're in hotter climates, you should have thinner blood. Thus, if you're in a hot climate, there's what's growing, fruit's growing, so you eat fruit. That fruit is 95% water, right? And it's keeping your blood nice and thin, moving because it's hot. Where it's cold, you want thicker blood. It keeps you warmer. So thus they're eating things that are tubers from the ground, thick, starchy, rich foods. It's all localvore environments, and that's all about keeping the blood where it should be. And so whenever we start eating outside of our climate, if you're in a hot climate eating starchy, fat foods, it's not going to be too helpful for you. But yet we find a lot of people doing that. You go to beach town, and why they got all the fish fry places? Not healthy. But you get benefits right away from grounding yourself as soon as you put your feet on the ground. I mean, yeah, it takes every 3 minutes your blood is cycling through your system, so I think that probably has something to do with it. Yeah, and during this fast, it's best to keep moving. It's not just take a nap on the couch. Yeah, listen to your body. When you're tired, lay down, but keep moving, because a fast is about cleaning, and cleaning involves moving your blood around your body. Here we go.
Hey, how you got the counter?
What's that, my man?
How you got the counter?
How do I get to... I don't know how to get to Kenner, man. I got no idea, man.
Uh-huh.
Good luck, my friend. Yeah, and I'll get in here on this psychedelics thing. Fasting is essentially like psychedelics. Fasting is another form of a psychedelic experience. It gets you there without the use. What you call psychedelics, when you take it in from the outside, from the earth realm, whatever it might be, these are all benefits. These are great things to do. What they do is they kick open doors for you. They would kick open the door to your pineal gland. So like, say, dimethyltryptamine or other alkaloids that open up parts of your body. What you're doing is you're kicking the door open, flooding your body with this chemical, and allowing you to see things by using a brute force method that uses the tangible universe to re-ingest it so you could see what you would normally see without it. And by fasting, what you're doing is you're cleaning up the pathways so you can naturally do that without having to use those things. That you could be basically doing what a child does. A child doesn't need to take any mushrooms, anything like that, because they're already tripping their balls off when they come out the womb. Because the DMT is already just... But then all of a sudden they're going to stick the needles in them. Let's get that pineal gland shut down real quick. Let's get the fluoride in there, and then the aluminum gets sucked up in there. Let's shut that off. Stop the dream world. Stop all of this access to the other realms and consciousness and shit. That's really what's going on. And by getting... So while these psychedelics are basically like this, it's like jumping on a trampoline. If you got a fence there, right? And you're walking around in this yard, and you want to know what's going on in the greater universe, a psychedelic is like jumping on a trampoline. You jump up high enough, you can see what's going on the other side. And that's great. You get a wonderful view, and you can like, man, I can see everything. I knew how everything worked, and it was, and you try to bring that experience back, but you can't explain it. You can't verbalize it. You can't, because it's there. It's like that dream that you lost. But when you fast, you levitate, and you hanging out up there. You can see what's going on there the whole time. You can go over there into the other space and come back here and be much more concise with the way that you speak about it, because you spent more time there and you weren't shut off. It's like they open up the doors, you come in, you party, and then you out the back door. They close the doors and like, okay, remember the party? See, but when you fast, you actually open up the neurological pathways, so you can, anytime you want, you just go, okay, just release DMT in your brain, and now what do you want to know about? Tell me, what is your question? What do you require? Yeah, thank you for saying that, Unstance. The chemical stabilizer is no good. Yeah, and I would never recommend LSD to anyone. There's too much technology in there. There's a use for it, don't get me wrong. There's a use for it, but the fact that it's so popularized and it was made in, once you start making things in the laboratory, that's when I'm just like, nah, we've gone a little too far here. I mean, the original way of making it has something to do with the rye bread and the bacteria on that, but once you start getting farther outside of the realms of alchemizing and getting to a monoatomic element or something, this is a great thing. But whenever we start having these guys with white suits on laboratories doing tests and shit, I'm very, very suspect of it. And considering it's one of the only things that I think most people have a somewhat bad experience on. Stick with the natural stuff. Stick with mama, Not that there isn't again, going farther down the line, there's a quality use for people that are way too earthy, that you can teach them the digital realm if that's the way you see it. There's something digitalized about it. My dude Core Love did a really long presentation on the way to design an experience to reach the Godhead using different substances in different amounts, depending on your birth sign, depending on your, it was something I studied a long time ago. I could probably dip into it, but nonetheless, there's ways of adjusting to get and understand the masculine binary digital world, and then the physical, more round, mushroomy world. What up, Rising McCain? What up, Z-Fool Sanchez? Everything we've been talking about here, like this idea of fasting is going to assist in loosening up that. I don't want to go too deep into that here, but there's massage helps, spinal manipulation, meaning go get your back cracked. go get yourself some go get yourself some somebody that knows about, a really good practitioner in the arts of needle placement in the body, acupuncture, these things will help. Rubbing on doing things to like rub on the sacrum. You have a bunch of different little holes in your spine that you can work with, kind of at the base of your spine. There's too much to go into here. I would need somebody else here to kind of show you, but nonetheless, spinal manipulation. Obviously, breathing practices, breathing into your the deeper parts of your lungs by realizing here's one simple thing you can do. And this is just an overall thing that I like to point out to people. People always talk about breathing practices, and they say, okay, breathe in. No, you've already fucked up the breathing practice. The first thing you should always do is breathe out. You have to get rid of everything first. You breathe out until you cannot breathe anymore. And then what happens is, by breathing out first, then you suction the prana, the chi, the oxygen back into your body. It becomes a natural thing. If I just breathe in, I've used my muscles to breathe in, and most of the time I'm using my muscles in my chest. I should be breathing from my belly, but to do that most properly, I would breathe all the way out first. I'd push everything out of my body, and then I would naturally, it would suck it back into me. Where any other way people breathe, we breathe backwards. Everything's backwards in this reality, and one of the reasons is because we breathe backwards. You have to breathe out first. So if we breathe in with our muscles, and we breathe out with our muscles. It's an active exercise of, try it right now, just breathe all the way out. See that? It throws it into you, it forces you to do it. And so that's one of the first things that you'll be able to breathe in properly into your belly, into your lungs, and that also happens to build up the air in your diaphragms. That part of the process of raising kundalini and that kind of energy is putting the oxygen in the right place. But further than that, further kundalini principles. Again, I think too many people out here, there's three things that people get too focused on. They're always like, oh, pineal gland, oh, kundalini, and what else? It's always pineal gland, third eye, kundalini, and people want to get out of body too. And I'm like, y'all got to slow down before you start doing those three things. Because if you crack your third eye open, you get out of body, you start moving your kundalini around. If you got a dirty body, if you don't have a sound mind, you're going to go into astral realms that you don't want to be in. I've been into them. They're not fun. If you start cracking open your third eye, you'll start seeing things you don't want to see until you're very familiar with what's going on. And you're getting out of body and you don't know how to navigate the realm. You have dirty organs. You have not properly vibrating. You'll go to places that are not servicing you and doing you much good, and it actually will. And a lot of people have, they get out of body and they have that one experience where they have where they have their body goes numb, and they all of a sudden they see the lurker in the corner of the room, and then they feel like someone's sitting on their chest. And they get out of body and have this horrible experience, and they never want to do it again, and they're fucking fearful of it. And I can understand because I've seen it, but I knew what it was, so it didn't bother me, so I was able to get out of body and just, I see what that is. And so getting out of body was much different, having an awareness of that. So I think people need to really, this always comes back to the last video I was making, and the idea of the reason that you do a cleanse, the reason you do fasting, is to clean up your random access memory, to clean up your brain, to clean up your body, so that way you're not loading any programs, you're not loading any memory, you're not loading any ideas, fantasies, fascinations, horrors, fears, basically coming down to what is your, the way I term it is, feelings are what they are, but we're talking about using emotions. And so these emotions are what's caught up. There's a movie called The Emotion Code. Now these emotions are what's caught up in your fats in your body. these emotions are caught up in the cellular structure in your body. And when you fast, you release all these things. So that way, whenever you start doing these things like working with Kundalini, working with your third eye, getting out of body, you don't have to deal with the archonic forces on all of these different levels that will be like fucking your shit up, or working in realms that are dirty and filthy and scummy and make you not want to get out of body. Coconut oil fast, that's interesting. I guess I'm way far behind. 704. Michael Nolan, you radiate different to women on urine more than no fat. I would say so. I mean, but then again, I was also not masturbating. I was also not ejaculating. It didn't really have anything to do with that, because there's been plenty of times I've gone 3 weeks without ejaculating. It didn't affect anything whatsoever on the realm of women wanting to talk to me, like me, anything like that. In fact, it was more predicated on my general sense. Like, and this is just to get back into the conversation you like to bring up a lot and then we had the other night, but just to reiterate this idea. Whenever I'm getting laid, if I am, it radiates more. That my energy about me is more comfortable, and that I feel better about myself, right? A little piece of that. Where if I'm not, no matter what I'm doing, there seems to be this block or a barrier. I'm like, oh, well, I need to not do this to get laid. I need to not do this. You know, these are just little tricks of the mind. I mean, this isn't like a full on all the time, but there really is. It just comes back to how fluid are you with your energy, and you know. Oozing sexuality is oozing sexuality. It doesn't matter if you're dropping seed, if you're fasting, it just is. If your goal source of whatever is to bind with yourself and then bind with the woman, like then you work with energy. You know, however you think you need to do it, so be it. But it's, you know, for me, the urine in and of itself, it physically, chemically alters the brain. It chemically alters the blood. It really does make your skin softer. So those things in and of themselves, you know, for me are profoundly more powerful than ever not masturbating. And I got a few more minutes on this, but if you guys are enjoying the talk, I'll get my other computer out and continue this on. And I'm a little behind here. I got like, what time is it? Yeah, I'm still like 20 minutes behind. You guys, slow down with your comments. Let me try to catch up here so I can end this and start another one if you want. And Rising Love, that's funny. You said it's like women hate you. Well, because you're a beautiful woman, so the attraction and the radiation of powerful energy, when you have powerful energy come off of you, that's powerful energy is going to make people steer away or come towards you. It's just that simple. And so it's just a matter of understanding how to use when you have a lot of powerful energy. This is a lot of reasons why I become an introvert at times, because it's just too much to do. It's like to always be switched on and have to interact with people and be like, do the thing Zen does. Be fun. You know, it's like a comedian telling a comedian to be funny. Like, it doesn't work that way. But if you're always on and you're like inspired and you're like have energy in you, still doesn't mean you have the motivation to want to interact with people all the time. Yeah, T Special, I hear you. It's uncomfortable hanging out with people. It's more on their level, you know what I mean? Because of their inability to deal with the new incoming energy. Yeah, it is. It's interesting. And T Special, again, the energy, I think somebody just had written here. It's a clean energy. It's weird. If anybody's ever done really good yayo, if anybody's ever done really good cocaine, it's very similar. It's like clear and bright, and it's like, but it's okay. This is just how I feel now. Yeah, Lumeno, I'll agree with you to a degree. I would say the first time you should definitely have a guide to, somebody that's responsible and knows it a little bit. I used to guide people on with diviner sage because I've done enough substances in my life to know how to work with a substance that I was able to do the substance by myself. But I would never hand that to somebody and say go do this by yourself. Yeah, you don't want it to be, your first time should not be a group thing. It should be, I would say, like 2-3 people maybe. But it is helpful to have that second or third party there, definitely. But once you know it, like I've spoke to people about this, and as it comes to all sorts of substances, people go, oh, if you drink alone, you're an alcoholic or whatever. Like, no, you need to drink alone to understand what the substance is. You need to smoke alone to know what the substance is. You need to, whatever it is, you need to get to the point where you can do that alone, whatever it might be. You need to be able to breathe alone. You need to be able to sit there and meditate. It's a meditation in and of itself. As any substance you use, whether, can you eat alone? You know how many people won't eat alone? Because they feel, look at that. See, they won't eat alone, they won't drink alone, they won't do anything alone. But yet, how it's their experience. So until you can understand and have your own experience with the substance, the group thing is essential though, for I think a first time tripper. Yeah, McKenna suggests using them alone, but McKenna was also a fucking maniac, and I mean that in the most loving, kind way. I mean, he was out of his goddamn mind, and from I've given my little 2 senses on McKenna. I think the mushrooms took his mind over. I don't think you were talking to Terrence McKenna. I think you were talking to the plant that was the mushroom. That aside, still knowledge, still the dude was a genius, or whatever it was in him was genius. But again, I do think people need to have a 1 or 2 people around for the first time doing it. But it's better in later on too. Yeah, Kia, that's good stuff. I used to have a trampoline, and it was weird. I never liked trampolines because I'd play basketball and I'd be like playing in my front yard and I could jump, and then I'd get on the trampoline, I'd get off the trampoline. What is that shit? Does anybody know what that is? You get off the trampoline and you can't jump. Like, you get on the trampoline, you're jumping around, and you get off, and you could do anything in your, like, and you can get off the ground like 4 or 5 inches. Like, I'd be in the front yard, whatever, 13, 14 years old, dunking on like 9 foot, and then I would jump on the trampoline, I would come out, and I couldn't even touch the rim. It was weird. Like, where did my muscles go? What just happened there? I think it's like a mental trick of not having your ligaments fire correctly. It was a weird thing. How do I don't view any meth really terms of greatness. You said, how do I view drug addicts like meth and opiates? I always thought those drugs make fasting easy, yet they're also addictive and stigmatized. I've done plenty of talks on different types of drugs, and there'd be way too much to get into right here, especially considering I only got a couple of minutes left. But to me, there's 2 different things. There's drugs, and then there's drugs force themselves on you, and then there's substances that are earthly based, which suggest for your body to do something. Both of them have their places in the world. Both of them have uses, but the stigmata of the stigmata. The stigmatism. I just had stigmata and then stigmatism. How very funny. Very, very interesting. A hole in the hand, a scratch on the eye. So how these. Not even want to use the word because I'm going to trip on it again. These substances, they have their purpose, they have their use, and I think it's just a matter of You know, there's a time and place for everything, I guess, huh? It's too much to get into here, though. Stephen Coe. Interesting that you asked that question. Is it good to get rid of semen while on a fast? Would that help cleansing? This is another thing that I have my thoughts on that, and I think it's not necessarily correct for here because it has to do with that alcohol fast that I did, and I think there's something about you know, if the seed that's in you right now is not your strongest seed, then it might be proper to get rid of it, maybe at the end of the fast. Because there's also this thing that happens during a fast, especially a water fast, where you won't have as much sex drive, and you might not even get, like, you know, you won't wake up and you'll wake up and you'll not have a hard on. You'll wake up and there won't be sexual appetite. But I think there is some sort of purpose that if these little creatures inside of you, these little swimmy things, and a woman too, I think there's something about, you know, but specifically and mostly for men, if that was you from your last period of time creating yourself, then you would get rid of those before you were to make a new seed, right? Wouldn't it make more sense that if, you know, this season you had a tree, your tree was putting off apples that were going bad, but then you fixed the tree, and then the next season it was more you know, healthy apples? Wouldn't it make more sense to get rid of the old apples, meaning the semen? So you know, that's a kind of a larger concept, but I think maybe after a fast it would be proper to get rid of that. And this is I'm almost done here, y'all, because I got like 5% left here. And you all want me to get back on and do more? You want to stick on this? Yeah, and I'll go farther on that too. Hopefully that made sense, though. What do I think about eating dirt? Get back to me on that. I have before. Pretty interesting. Yeah, sorry guys, I kind of got carried away on some of the Mary Ortiz, urine will change your hair color. Certainly. In fact, aged urine will make your hair kind of, because it's going to be ammonia rich. It's going to turn into an orange. In fact, a lot of there's tribes that would stand behind the cow and let the cow piss all over their hair, and they would let it bake in the sun, and so these really dark melanated tribes would have orange hair. Look, you can look into that. And aging urine is going to be a lot more heavy duty. So yeah, and just putting it on your hair, washing with it will clean your hair. So yeah, it probably will lighten it a bit. Reza, that is exactly it. Taking the body back to factory settings, meaning like coming fresh out the box before anything. In real deal, like what you would do is I'm gonna try to make this as fast as I can to get to the end of this. It's a year per day. If you were to do a water or urine fast, a urine fast would upgrade it, but a water fast would be a year backwards per day. You could get back to the time of your birth. If you were 28 years old, you would do 28-day water fast, and you'd basically be back to the time you were born. Now, that's a rough estimate, because some people might be having like you might have had a really chemical-filled life, a lot of drugs and things stuck in your system. But I mean, I did 43 days when I was 30. 33? 30? I don't remember. Was I 33 or 32? Anyways, but yeah, so I even went beyond that. I went beyond the thing. I kind of went into the past life. So yeah, check it out. You want me to keep going, y'all? Okay, cool. I'm gonna end this, and you all can obviously thank me with thumbs up. And for all of you and people in the future, if you do have money falling out of your pockets or extra currency in the digital arena or wherever you may be keeping all of your energy, if whatever energy have I provided to you has done you any service, please feel free. No, not please. I don't like please. Feel free to offer me some of your energy through the links that will probably be below. And sharing is caring. Okay, I'll come right back. Give me like 10 minutes. Let me go slug a beer real quick. Let me go shotgun a beer or something. Yeah, if anybody wants to buy me a beer, feel free. Cool. I'll be back and give me like 10-15 minutes. And thanks for the thumbs up and all of your time. I appreciate it.